The following video is made in conjunction with Italian synth fair SOUNDMIT 2020. What's up, audio friends? Matt Vanacoro from Ask.Audio here. We're checking out the FineGear Dust Collector. The FineGear Dust Collector is an amazing effects processor. It's got 5 discrete separate effects sections. We've got a phaser to work with, a delay, a spring reverb, and 2 different tape saturation sections that you can use completely independently of each other or wire this all together in serial. Now, there are also 2 LFOs that are internally connected to some of the effects, and you can connect them to the other effects using CV for others. Each LFO has 3 CV outs and 1 CV in, so you can really route it to a lot of different places. There's also an optical sensor for the phaser section, and the physical springs of the reverb are actually available for touching, scraping, placing items on, and dampening in the reverb section. So that makes for some really, really interesting sounds. Let's dive in and just take a look at some of the different sections and how they sound. All right, let's just get a little dry sound there. Nice little simple pad going on. So I'll bring in the mix of the phaser a little bit. You can hear that rich sound. Now, I've got LFO1 controlling the rate. So as you can hear, if I switch to LFO2, it's significantly faster. All right, so now I'll use a little CV to modulate LFO2 with LFO1, and you're going to hear a little bit more instability in the rate this time. As I bring up the CV value there. Hear that? Not quite as steady as it was. So that's really fun. Now, if I just pull this CV out, and let's now take the side panel off, and that's where you have access to the light sensor. So this little optical sensor, if you just flash a light, you can adjust the phaser that way. So I'll just grab my phone. Here, let's see. There we go. Play a little bit. And you can see, you can experiment with the intensity of the light and actually modulate the phaser using a light source, which is way cool. And you can do that with the LFO active or just freely using only the light source. Very fun. Let's take a listen to the ambient effects next. So I've got a nice dry sound right here. Bring in a little bit of delay. We'll bring the mix in, and I'll adjust the feedback down to 0. As I bring in the feedback, you'll hear some more instances. And as you can hear, that madness knob, they're not kidding. It really goes to the maximum level. Once again, let's utilize a little control voltage to modulate some parameters here. I'm going to go ahead and plug in the CV output of LFO1, and you'll hear, as it modulates that delay time, you get the really fun pitch artifacts that happen when you adjust the delay time. Speed it up a little. Let's try it in LFO2, one of the really, really high rate ones. So now it's modulating that delay time so fast that you're getting some really fun and amazing artifacts. All right, let's take that out, check out some of the reverb. This spring reverb is super fun. I've got it at 0 right now. Just some really, really beautiful sounds coming out of this reverb tank. Now I'll touch it. Amazing. Truly amazing. Let's get a little metal in there. Just think of the sound design you could do with this. It is so cool, and it feels very sturdy. It doesn't feel like I'm going to break it in any second. All right, let's have a look at those tape saturation channels. So there's 2 of them. I'm going to just use this one right now. Let's play a little bit. And I'll bring it in. And I'll switch to some of the other tape settings. Let's go to 5. The higher numbers are the more drastic ones, a little bit more compression in effect. So as you can hear, I've got this routed going into the phaser next, and that's where it really shines. These tape channels can fatten up your sound before it goes into that phaser effect and get you some really, really rich tones. Get back to the original unmodified sound here. You can hear it has a big effect on it. All right, well, you checked it out there. My takeaways for the dust collector. First of all, CV is definitely really tightly integrated. This device can generate CV for other devices, but also use CV to control just about anything. So it really integrates well into a modular setup or to some of the more modern synths that actually have CV in and out. So if you're finding your effects section of your favorite synth a little lacking and it has CV, this could be a great way to tightly integrate it. The LFOs are internally connected to the phaser, but you can actually combine that CV with them to do some really cool stuff, as you heard with the phaser. So you can go ahead and modulate one LFO with the other and then connect that internally to the phaser. It really comes out to be a really interesting sound. The build quality is incredibly solid. You definitely don't feel shy about doing the physical things with this unit. You go in there and go ahead and mess with the optical unit with the springs. It doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart. It feels like you could kind of build a house with this thing, hammering the nails. Each effect is discreetly accessible. So this is like 5 units in one. You can use this, any one section of it. The physical access to effects is really just amazing for sound design. So even if you don't plug anything into this and you just start messing with the reverb springs and doing some stuff, you can have a great time and design some really out of sight, otherworldly sounds. Some cooler feedback on down the line. I'd love to see the effects have normal switches. So right now, if you want to run all this in serial, you're going to need to patch it all together with a lot of cables. Of course, look, some people really love doing that and they want it to, you want to have that look and you want to have that flexibility. For myself, I'd love the ability to see all of them lined up in serial so that you could just switch them on and use one cable in the future versions of this. So it's a really, really cool unit. It's amazing just on its own, and it can really shine when you connect it with CV units and your favorite synth and process some sound in a really, really cool way. So definitely give the Fine Gear Dust Collector a look if you are in the market for a multi-effects processor.